Tonight's first performer is a multi-talented artist who is a photographer, she is a graphic designer, she sometimes plays music, she's an ice dancer, she sings, and also does cartoon voices. And now she can add storytelling to her list. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie Tobacco.
Ladies and gentlemen and other, we are gathered here today to celebrate the birth of King Wilhelm and his 364 brothers and sisters. Now, how did so many children come to be, and why would they so humbly hand over the crown and kingdom to only the 32nd born, Wilhelm? Well, you see, it was because Wilhelm was the most brave, beloved, and selfless of them all and for them all. You see as well, before King Wilhelm and his 364 brothers and sisters, there was the king and queen. The king, an awful tyrant who only sought to expand his kingdom through violence and war. And the queen, a selfish and jealous woman who always took more than she could remember and ate more than she could stomach, just so her people would have less than her. These people were so awful, they even hated each other. And in fact, that is why the king continued expanding on his war, so he would not have to deal with his wife and not have to bear a child with this woman. One evening, as the king was off to war, the queen had just finished a feast that was prepared by her 31 maids. She went out into the castle gates, again to admire how much more she had than the rest of her people. Always looking down on them, never once looking up, never once realizing she was a part of something more than herself. And upon the hill, there was an old beggar woman with 2 crying babies on her hip approaching. Now this threw the queen into a jealous rage, because this lowly woman had 2 infants when she could have none. The beggar woman approached the castle gates and humbly lowered her head. "My queen, if you have any food to spare, please offer it to me and my starving children." The queen refused. "No! It's mine! Besides, you're a lie and a cheat. It is impossible for one man to father 2 children on one night. Be gone!" The beggar woman remained humble. "No, my queen. Both my infants are fathered by one man born on the same night. My husband died fighting in your husband's war." This made the queen very angry. "No! Be gone! Before I take your babies away." The witch had had enough. "My queen, you should not be so cruel, for I am actually a beautiful witch in disguise." "You are the ugliest woman I have ever seen." "Be that as it may, I am still a witch. And I curse you to have as many children as there are days in the year." Nothing happened, and the queen laughed. "Okay, Merlin." But the witch wasn't finished. "And for you to turn into exactly what your heart is made of, all by sunset." But before the queen could laugh again, her belly swelled up huge! Her 31 maids came rushing out to check on their queen. The witch was gone, but the sights and sounds that came from their queen was enough to cure any woman of baby fever. They quickly brought their queen inside, but they didn't understand what was going on. All they could get out from her was, "Oh, I'm gonna have babies. Oh, but call the priest. I will not raise heathens. These babies must be baptized immediately." But that's all they could get out of her. That's it. But the maids couldn't possibly think she meant more than 31 babies. So they each thought they'd prepare a basket and a name. And if there would be more than 31, they would name all the boys Wilhelm and all the girls Wilhelma, because in this land, that kind of thing makes sense. Sunset had arrived, and so did the bombardment of births of babies, one after another being born. A maid took a baby, put it in the basket, named it, sent it off to the priest. Took a baby, named it, put it in the basket, sent it off to the priest. But as the 31st maid held the 32nd son, and watched the 33rd and 34th and 35th and 36th and 37th and 38th and 39th and 40th and 41st and 42nd and 43rd and 44th and 45th and 46th and 47th, you're getting the idea. There's a lot of babies being born at this moment. She contemplated leaving the 32nd and beyond behind and only saving the 31 that they could carry. But the first Wilhelm, the 32nd son, he wouldn't have it. He grabbed that maid by the hair and pulled her down and refused to let go until she promised to save him and his brothers and sisters. The maid finally agreed and Wilhelm let go. She looked down upon him and asked, "Oh, but how?" It was then that Wilhelm pointed out into the kitchen. The maid understood and grabbed all the others. They went in and grabbed anything round they could find, cauldrons, pots, pans, large enough spoons, funnels, anything. And they carried all 365 babies to the church. But by the time they got there, the priest hadn't understood that they meant that many babies, and he couldn't possibly baptize them all. He did not have enough holy water. And as he looked out into the sea of crying babies, he saw one that was not. And he picked up that baby. And that baby so happened to be the first Wilhelm, the 32nd son. And he contemplated only saving him and not the others. But Wilhelm wouldn't have it. He grabbed that priest by the nose and pulled him down and refused to let go until he promised to save him and his brothers and sisters. The priest finally agreed and Wilhelm let go. The priest looked down upon him and asked, "Oh, but how?" It was then that Wilhelm pointed out to the window. The priest and the 31 maids looked out, but they didn't understand what Wilhelm meant. There was just people and buildings and cows, and a faint cry came from Wilhelm. But the priest and the maids did not hear him. They were too focused outside. Wilhelm knew he had to look to his brothers and sisters. Boo! 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 They can't hear you. They don't know what to do. They got it. The priest and the maids ran out and grabbed as many cows as they could and brought them inside and baptized all 365 babies in holy milk. And from the milk, the babies were able to drink and live. And the 32nd son, the first Wilhelm, had saved 364 lives before even seeing the light of day. Now their mother, the queen, did not survive the night, for she did turn into exactly what her heart is made of, stone. But Wilhelm did not resent his mother for this, for he kept that statue of her to remind him and his siblings that a life shared is a life lived. And that is why, year after year, we gather to celebrate the birth of King Wilhelm and his 364 reasons to be loving and happy. Long live the king, long live King Wilhelm.